Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to What's Up 388. And this is it. We have reached Paris. We are on the final stage, stage 21 of Vive La France 2020. The race, from my point of view, is neutralised. I can see Martin Props there. Good man. I thought he was doing the earlier race. Great to see you, dude. I've got so much I could say, so much I want to talk about. So I will try and catch up on everything during the race. I have had a few drinks. I will continue to have a few more while we're riding. This isn't champagne. I don't like champagne. This is beer, but it's good enough. It's a good enough way to celebrate this. So we're doing Champs-Élysées 8 times, but it's going to be a pretty relaxed pace from me. And as I say that, my second monitor with my screen recording is going really funny. Oh, please don't screw up this final race recording. Right, I've jumped on really late as well. I've got a minute and a half to go. I've literally just put on my lycra, jumped on the bike, having been inside watching the Liverpool-Chelsea match. So I've had no preparation, and it's just as well that I'm not going to be charging around on this race. Right, so I'm gonna shut up now. I'll be back with you in a second. Right, just 17 seconds to go. Looks like we've got a good turnout, but the main turnout for today looked as though it was the lunchtime, the 12:30 race. I wish I could bring you some results and statistics from that, but I've been really busy today, so I haven't seen anything. As the planes come over, and boom, final stage. We are off. Have a great race, everyone. Celebrate the conclusion of what was just the most magnificent adventure in indoor cycling. Bloody hard. Very stressful, but incredibly rewarding as I come up next to my main nemesis, Mr. Prop. And Barry Mooney as well. There was a good battle that I just couldn't quite catch up with, but obviously managed to chip away in the last couple of stages, but was never going to get you. Mr. Mooney's here with me as well. Caroline Reuter, I think it's Caroline, apologies if it's not. Gonna ride in formation for this remaining 52.8 kilometres through the greenest, leafiest Paris I've ever seen. Oh, how awesome that Percy Santamaria is just ahead as well. One of my names on my list to offer huge thanks to. He's just 11 metres up the road, probably waiting for this bunch. There he is, the man, the legend. Actually, which one is he? I'm going to guess he's on the orange BMC. So that's Stuart Murray that we just joined with, and Percy then at the front of this bunch. Stuart also brilliant racing with you, particularly in the Alp climb, where you left me by about 100 metres, and no matter what effort I put in on the last 3 or 4k, could just never close that gap down. Really, really good ride. Okay, so this little gruppetto, we have myself, Murray, Props, Simeta, Straight is further ahead, Stephen Moon, Santa Maria, Reuters in here. I think I saw D Racer as well. Is he here? And that pink jersey about to join from the back is Mr. Mooney and Stuart Murray. Great bunch. Some of the guys in and around me now have just lit up this whole competition for me. I mentioned it in a message to Martin Prop earlier, how given the excruciating severity of the task, knowing the altitude of most of the elevation of most of the routes, my ambition really was to see if I could just ride 21 stages with just 2 rest days in 3 weeks. but having the likes of Martin around me in particular, and others, had a good competition with Keith Denton for the mountains points. Barry Mooney, like I say, it was only towards the latter stages where it was a lost cause, but things like that meant that, barring a couple of races where I kind of mentally threw in the towel, it became full on effort every day for 21 days. Not something I expected at all. Not something I thought my body or my state of mind could handle. And this whole event, I think it surprised a lot of people, myself included. 99.9% of it has been done in the best spirit as well. The chat, the encouragement, the sportsmanship, absolutely superb. I think we've had two incidents that we needed to look at regarding a couple of people not really taking this in the way that it's supposed to be taken. But outside of that very tiny minority, it's just been a beautiful community to be involved in for 3 weeks. We've got a great bunch here, sitting at about 250 metres ahead of us. Just as I think that's me that's just completed a lap, is it? Or was that them that just completed a lap? I think it was my bunch. But we've got Mr. Fennelly waving for the camera. We've got Giles Blundred and Brian Roden. Awesome stuff. Both Brian and Giles helped me massively on stage 19, which was arguably my strongest stage, and the only one I didn't record. Stupid. But these guys have been battling out at the pointy end all the way through. But while I remember, I'm not sure if he's in this race or if he did the earlier one, Mr. James Ogilvie, or Ogilvie, not sure how you pronounce it, but not only does he celebrate completion of Vive La France today, but he also turns 50 today, as I understand. So happy birthday, my friend, and congratulations. I hope you celebrate accordingly both achievements of reaching 50 and arguably the more difficult achievement of getting to the end of this ridiculous event. Here we have Mr. Peter Guthrie, another rider I'm very proud to have locked horns with on a few occasions during this event. Sadly, I know he had some technical issues which ruled him out of completing every stage, I think, unless he managed to do some of them on the catch-up days. But super strong rider, and I can't remember which stage it was. There was one in particular where I think I dug about as deep as I could on any stage to chase him up a ridiculous climb. So that really could be any stage. Blandon, Obisque, Peresord, Tourmalet, Galibier, Clez. I'm actually forgetting them, but even the flat stages. The first stage was that time trial, wasn't it? It basically just went straight uphill. Incredible. But yeah, I managed to sort of embed myself in a nice little battle with Peter on one particular stage, which was great fun. So thank you, Peter, for lighting up that particular race for me. So next up the road we have Simons and Sigsworth. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Sigsworth was also in the incredible bunch that I was with on stage 19, or possibly stage 18, where I think it was 19, but came to the line as a bunch of 6 or 7. Again, the one I didn't record, and Mr. Sigsworth had a really good lead. And it must have been a horrible feeling watching this really fast group closing and closing and closing with just a handful of kilometres left. And we did manage to join him, but I think he managed to jump on and finish ahead of me in the what I would loosely term sprint finish. Everyone else was sprinting. I didn't have the legs. We must have a pretty small field here tonight, because next up the road, our Randler, and we're in the top 10 already. So I'm assuming there's only 25-30 people in this particular race this evening. Everybody getting it done at lunchtime. Our Randler chasing down a Valters 3.6 watts per kilogram. And with that kind of power, I would not be surprised if they're together within a lap. If we jump forward, oh no, that's jumping backwards. So A. Valters now matching the power of Randler behind. Valters is a name I've come across quite a few times in these races. Not always in a positive way. But nothing too serious. I think I've managed to drop off the back of the bunch I was riding with. That's alright. I'm really here just to watch these guys, I've got to be honest. Someone's just gone past me. Not sure who. Let's keep looking up. Okay, so we're now looking at the entire top 8, I think. Top 7. So I can see Andrew Beck, Navin, Corrick, Lopez, Kerry. I'm assuming Rowbottom is in this bunch as well. It must be, yeah, because Lopez is first. So Lopez, Gonzalez, Glenn, Rowbottom, Beck, Kerry, Corrick. Corrick just dropping off the front bunch now. I think the bunch I was with slowed down and waited for me. I think that's Mr. Mooney. Yeah, they've all definitely waited for me. I was putting out pathetic power numbers, so there's no way I just accidentally caught up with them. Thank you guys. It's really hard to concentrate on your own pace, especially when there's a couple of little ups and downs on this course, at the same time as flicking through all the other riders. So here we go. Here is the front bunch anyway. Got Lopez leading it. Gonzalez now coming through as I start my second lap. Wow, it's going to be a long race. 2 laps in at this pace. Whoa, it's going to take a while. So of all these guys, I'm most familiar with Rowbottom and Beck. Rowbottom from just a couple of communications we've had, and just consistently seeing him up near the front. And Andrew Beck puts together some brilliant live streams and race reports, and has been a really encouraging, active, enthusiastic member of the event and the Vive La France Facebook group. Just really got involved in the best possible way, so I truly thank you for that, my friend. Absolutely brilliant. He's been locked in a pretty decent battle with our very own Paul Nichols as well for most of this event, up until I think yesterday's stage was breaking point, and just managed to get a stranglehold on that position, so chapeau, dude. So yeah, I am still in this bunch that includes Moon, Santa Maria, Mooney, Reuter, can't see the other names, Racer is there. Who else was here? Obviously Martin, kind of goes without saying. Mr. Prop, who I need to send a case of Leffe. That was our little wager on our personal battle, which Martin won yesterday just by being, do you know, I analysed it a bit. If I looked at the points difference between the mountains and the flat stages, I think there was only something like 50 points difference between myself and Martin on the mountain stages, but a couple of 100 points on the flat. And that really is a sign that Martin just knew where he needed to push himself harder. He had me on the flat stages anyway, but he just did the most amazing job initially of just limiting damage on the hilly stages, and then eventually taking time out of me in the hilly stages. It was just amazing to see the progression all the way through. As much as I'd like to have won that battle, I have no shame in losing to Martin the way he did it. It's absolutely brilliant. I think Martin just reminded me who the boss is there. A little 10 watt per kilogram sprint on this descent. You've won, Martin. Chapeau. Now bugger off. Let me do my thing. I don't think I ever want to race with you again, despite the fact that it was the most exciting thing for the entire 3 weeks. I don't think I've been all gracious about losing this time. I don't think I could do it a second time. This should be interesting. I've got to lean behind me to grab the beer that's on the shelf, try and refill my glass while staying in this draft. It's just slightly out of reach. I don't know how I'm going to put it back. Cheers everyone, by the way. Mission accomplished. Did I finish what I was saying anyway about the wager? Yeah, it's basically a crate of the favourite beer to the winner out of myself and Martin. He's chosen Leffe, which would have been my choice as well. Now I've got to work out how to send some to Holland and it arrive intact. Okay, well, we're cruising along. I've managed to get my breath back after having to chase back onto the bunch through lack of concentration. I think it's a thank you time. So our team, the main team for Vive La France of volunteers, was myself, Paul Nichols, Martin Prop, Percy Santamaria and Hal White. And I can honestly say this whole thing would have collapsed if any one of those guys wasn't available and didn't do the magnificent work that they did. I'll try and specify what each one of them was responsible for and what they did, but I know I won't be able to cover it. I know I'll forget things. And it wasn't just the practical input that they had. It was having that little poor group. We could chat amongst ourselves, G each other up, keep each other's spirits high, because there were some very difficult, stressful times. And as I'm sure every one of you racing this will have felt at some point, this kind of physical effort takes its toll on your mood and your emotions. And there were definitely days where I was overreacting to things, and somebody else from within the group would G me up to keep the morale high. And I'd like to think I managed to do the same on occasions to the other guys. But those guys, so I'm going to start with Paul Pickles Nichols. I mean, I'm going to start with him, but I don't know where to start. He's so enthusiastic, so inspirational, and that's just from the mental side of things. He produced some brilliant videos, flyers, but even more important than that, I think of everybody, he was the most hands-on in answering your questions, geeing up riders, congratulating people. It's just so active in the forum that he created, by the way, the Vive La France forum. That was Paul's baby. He did that by himself, and he managed it, he set it up, and like I say, he was the first person, even with things that were sort of out of our control or out of our domain, Paul was there to try and offer help. And you just I can't thank him enough for that. It's just incredible. And on a more personal level, he's just the nicest guy. I mean, he really is. I bloody love him. He's just an absolute legend. I've ridden in real life with him once, and it was one of the best rides I've ever done. And ridden with him countless times indoors, and he's just a pleasure to be around in real life and virtually. And this team would have been so much poorer without him. So for that, Paul, seriously man, I'm going to be the same with every one of you guys. I'm struggling to find the words to show the level of appreciation for what you've done. Just magnificent. And the racing was pretty freaking good as well. As I mentioned earlier, him and Andres were neck and neck right up until today's stage, and he's racing at a different level to me. This isn't an area of the racing I usually pay much attention to, because he's way up the road. He's a natural climber, but puts himself well on the flats as well. Just brilliant. So, Pickles, thank you my friend, from the bottom of my heart, seriously. Moving on, and in no particular order, Mr. Hal Y. It's funny with Hal, because in actual fact, the most valuable thing Hal did, right from the very start, from our early discussions about this, was actually to point out where some of my ideas were wrong or stupid or wouldn't work because of X, Y and Z. And that, it just in itself saved us from going down the wrong path altogether in a lot of areas to do with how we controlled the results, how we controlled the point scoring, the structure of the races, the time slots, various different things. And how, not one to mince his words, but in the best possible way, was very quick to say, hold up, I think this is a better way of doing it. And lo and behold, we would then explore a different avenue, which would turn out to be exactly what we needed. Similar to Paul, he's just a lovely guy. Lovely, lovely guy. I've known Hal only through indoor racing, but for what seems like a long time. And he, off his own back, in his own time, over the years, has sent me so many really detailed, intricate and time-consuming, it's almost like a thesis on my phone of the possible causes of cramp, how to combat it, and this is all just off his own back. It's just, he's seen my video, he's seen me struggling with cramp, curiosity meant that he looked into it for me, and I'm absolutely sure, having taken on quite a lot of Hal's advice, that is why I've not suffered so bad with cramp in these last 21 days. He's been a massive help with the scoring system, a huge help with the promotions and general involvement in the forums, a brilliant presence in the races, which take nothing out, that's just as important. Everybody that's been in the races, that's just as important as the stuff done behind the scenes, because if no one turns up to ignite the competition and the fun in these events, it's all a waste of time. And Hal and his wife have both been very strong contributors, as my second monitor looks like it's literally about to blow up. This is quite scary. On a more practical side, Hal wrote very eloquently and articulately the descriptions for the stages that we then uploaded to RGT. And again, I just struggle for the words, because it's just being able to chat with him, chew the breeze, compare results at the end of a stage in our own little bubble. Just fantastic. So, Mr. Hal Y, thank you, my friend. Keep rocking. Okay, next up, the man, the monster, Martin, Prop Monster Prop. I'll start with the racing side of things. It's been mentioned a lot in pretty much every one of my videos. I have gone to new depths because of you. I have pushed myself beyond anything I had intended to do or expected I could do because of you, and I've loved nearly every minute of it. I think the only stages I didn't like were ones where you weren't in the same race as me and I knew my legs were gone. Had you been in those stages, even those ones would have been fun. For that alone, you're just an absolute freaking legend. I loved every minute of racing with you. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, it's not that I don't care that I was beaten by you. I'm just happy with how it happened. I'm not disappointed with my performance in any way. But I was beaten by a better man. Simple as that. And you can only ever be accepting of that situation. As you know, our conversations after pretty much every stage have been awesome as well. Full of encouragement, a little bit of heckling, a little bit of trash talking in the nicest possible way, and that just adds a whole new dimension. I'm hoping others have done this, and I'm pretty sure they have. I've seen evidence that others have done it. If you're not fighting in the top echelons of the overall standing, just to pick your battle with those around you. And it seems there have been some incredible mini battles up and down the field, stage 1 to stage 21. And mine wasn't just Martin Prop. Barry Mooney definitely played a part. And if I'd managed to just take a little bit more out in the last few stages, maybe we'll be having a different conversation. But just an absolute pleasure. From the backroom team point of view, as with everybody, Martin was just the voice of enthusiasm, encouragement, and from a more practical side, probably the main reason we managed to do the catch-up days and fill in results that were missing because of dropouts or other technical issues. Martin was there straight away to assist the next man I'm going to come on to in filling in the blanks, sorting out any little discrepancies, and he's a kind of spreadsheet whiz himself and was able to keep the show on the road for a lot of people that might otherwise thrown in the towel because their efforts weren't being recorded in the league tables, the overall tables or the points tables. And Martin was, without question, jumping all over that whenever it needed to be done. And as with the other guys, just a pleasure to be around. Absolutely brilliant. Do you know the biggest crying shame of this is that we're all hundreds if not thousands of miles apart, and couldn't all be sat in the same room while we were having these discussions and the banter, the post-race analysis, because these guys, just superb. Martin, thank you so much for everything you've done behind the scenes, and selfishly, more importantly for me, everything you did on track with me. Just brilliant. I'm really going on, aren't I, in this one? I'm actually trying to keep it as brief as I possibly can, and whilst trying to not get too emotional. But it's difficult. It's been an emotional couple of weeks, and I knew today was going to be a tricky one to try and just sort of fight it back. Anyway, last but absolutely no means least, from our main team, Mr. Percy Santa Maria, who is on my wheel here. Let's have a little look back in. There he is. Difficult to know where to start, but I will quite simply say Percy's mega brain pretty much managed the whole thing. Timing, scoring, that whole side of things was designed, built and managed by Percy. And probably even more impressive was that when we were in the early stages of setting it up, if I had a suggestion of something, Percy wouldn't shirk at that. He would very politely assess whether it was possible, tell me no if not. If it was, just do it. And then the latest update I'd see, whatever it was I was asking for, he'd done. Just absolutely brilliant. It was a from scratch system that he built to calculate the value of the distance you ride, offset by the elevation, obviously all the timings and everything that were provided by RGT then needed to be dropped into this table and work with all the calculations that he'd done, he'd set up. And it's beyond my little brain. I couldn't go beyond adding someone's time and then possibly making it do a sum to add up to their next time to give you a total. I think that's about the extent of my spreadsheet knowledge. So this stuff is all alien to me. But again, that's just the technical side of what Percy did. He's working on a different time zone to us, so our paths obviously cross like ships in the night every so often. But I would send the results over to Percy quite late at night, often knowing that within a couple of hours he'd have done it, updated the league table. Even when he was away camping, somehow he managed to not cause a lengthy delay in waiting for the results. And then with the help of Martin, putting together the missing results for all the make-up, catch-up races, etc. And he didn't once complain about a single thing. Just did it. There was a problem, he just overcame it without whinging or moaning. And he's a freaking good bike rider. I tried to keep up with him on outdoors yesterday. Not a chance. Absolutely left me. And I'll say it again, as I said with the other three guys, just a lovely, lovely bloke. Just, I really, really, genuinely want to meet up with you guys and have a beer when the world is normal. That does mean dragging someone from Brighton, someone from Holland, someone from Canada, I think you're up, Percy. And where are you? You're not too far from me, I don't think. Oxford, something like that? I'm probably miles off. But I'd love to get you guys together, have a proper drink, and pat ourselves on the back. This could have gone so horribly wrong in so many ways. But thanks to those guys, it just kept rolling. Even when there were problems with the platform crashing or results coming in different format from what was expected, they just got the job done. It's just amazing, absolutely amazing. So Percy, a million thanks, my friend. Thank you so much. Oh, it looks like we're being lapped. That's a first for me on RGT. I don't think I've done a circuit before, certainly not one with a long enough race where I could be lapped. Actually, I've definitely been lapped on Canary Wharf. Well done those guys, absolutely flying. Right, let's carry on the thank yous. Sorry, this is a bit of a Oscars acceptance speech, isn't it? But it needs to be said. So outside of the main WKG team, obviously, none of this happens without RGT. And in particular, Mr. John, by the way, who is a WKG member as well. Someone I've met in real life. Ripped my legs off in that ride. Rips my legs off in every single indoor ride. Thoroughly nice guy. And a real driving force behind this event. Not least because he actually designed the route and provided the GPXs. So I mentioned it in a previous video or a live stream. If anyone wants to kill anybody for the damage this has done to their legs, John, by the way, is your man. And I have to congratulate him for it. There are a couple of stages I was moaning about, but if you look at the overall picture, I think it was judged to perfection. Superb. Even when I was feeling at my absolute lowest, the next couple of stages were arguably the best of the entire event, and managed to take in some incredibly well-known, iconic and bucket list climbs within the route. There was something for everyone, even if the proper flatland people like to disagree with that. A completely flat race is a boring race as far as I'm concerned. There needs to be some little lumps in it. I'm sure there were points earlier on in the week where I would have been cursing John, by the way's name every time a little 2-3% hit me on a flat stage, but that's what made it interesting. Proof of the pudding being stage 18. Little rolling up and down, very fast stage, and then bam, 14% climb for about 4 kilometres at the end. And the reality is that course wouldn't have been half as memorable if we didn't have that torturous ramp right at the end. So John, fantastic, not just in your decisions, but obviously the hours and hours I know you put in to getting those GPX files, smoothing them off in GPX Prune, is it called, and Smoother. Absolutely brilliant. And RGT themselves, what a platform with the magic roads. I've mentioned it before, this doesn't happen without magic roads. The ability to do what John did, take a GPX file and say, let's use that as a race. The idea that we do 21 consecutive days in a restricted environment of 4 or 5 different courses, and that's not a dig at anybody, it's just the reality of it. It makes it, even without actual scenery, this more sort of generic magic road scenery, the fact that the courses replicate real routes made this something I know I could not have missed out on. Even if I hadn't been involved in arranging it, I would have absolutely jumped at the idea of doing the next best thing to a real tour across real routes in France. Just brilliant. And then of course we've got the entertainment side of things. Mr. Damon, wow, brilliant job on the streams, made even more brilliant by the fantastic commentary by Kelvin Newman, Jonathan Crane, Will Spencer, Paul Nichols. Just brilliant. I'm gonna confess to something here. I very rarely watch live streams of races. One, because I don't often have the time to watch an entire race. But two, this will sound cruel, but it's totally a personal thing, but I tend to switch off. I'm just not, I don't know, unless I'm involved in that race or something very specific happens, I find I drift off watching a lot of live streams. And please, the other guys that do the live streams, please don't take that as criticism, because it's absolutely just to do with my attention span. But I have to say, Damon Bates, ZMS streams, with those guys commentating, was it was a different level. I could happily watch that in the same way I watched the real Tour de France or the Giro or something. Just kept me entertained all the way through. Did a phenomenal job. And I hasten to add, everybody did this off their own back. It is completely voluntary. Do you know what, actually, that's probably the most important thank you I should give. So all the wives, husbands, partners, girlfriends, boyfriends that have basically tolerated us selfishly locking ourselves in our pain caves for so long. And then, if you're anything like me, even after the actual ride, going in and talking about it for hours, and then getting on your computer and dealing with conversations and editing and all that stuff. It literally was 24 hours that this thing has consumed most of us. So thank you very much to the families of everyone involved for putting up with it and allowing it to happen. I think I've thanked everybody specifically, other than every single one of you that turned up for any race. 1 race, 5 races, 21 races, it doesn't matter. Everyone played their part. And as I mentioned before, I think there were 2 or 3 races where I was in a proper grump, wasn't feeling it. That was just to do with the emotional, physical tatters that I was in. But other than that, it's been so enjoyable. Some of the racing just been incredible. And that's without me really knowing what's going on up front, to be honest. Obviously Jan Decker absolutely wiped the floor with everyone. Brilliant stuff, but I know there were other battles just behind him. I think 2nd and 3rd actually wasn't a done deal, so I'm going to have to check that out. But these races are only as good as the people you're racing with. And this has just been blooming great. Absolutely amazing. Alright, I'm going to stop waffling for a while now. 11.1 kilometres to go. Try and catch my breath, finish my beer, and get to the end of this whole thing. Okay, we're in the last 2 kilometres now. I'm trying to work out from the guys and ladies whether anyone's going to go for a sprint here or if we're going to roll over the line together. I mean, if I go for a sprint, there are 3 people at least here that I know will beat me in a sprint. So I'm not going to win it, but it might actually be a more fitting way to end this. We're all just hell for leather over the line. The other thing I was thinking about during that last couple of kilometres, I don't know if you can see it, but on my wrist I have like a leather band with 3 chain links on it. They are from, the first one is from the first ever WKG meetup in Box Hill. Goodness knows how many years ago. Second one was from the second WKG meetup, slightly more ambitious, which was Mont Ventoux and Gorge de l'Anesque. Beautiful roads around there. And the third one was from the recent meetup in Montrose, where we did Cairn Mount and some other really beautiful roads in Scotland. Now, these are all real rides, outdoor rides. I've got one more to add, which was from the Pickles 50. When I get around to changing the chain on my gravel bike, I'll take a link from that. That's what the links are, incidentally. They're all from the actual chains of the bikes that did those rides. And I'm toying with the idea of changing the chain on this and putting one of the links from this on here, because I'm not sure I'll ever do anything like this again. And even if I do, this is the first one. First huge indoor event that I've done. I think I've answered the question about the sprint, by the way. Those guys are buggered off. But I think that was more because I was waffling. I'll be honest, there were two ways this could go. Either let them go off ahead of me so I could watch these guys over the line, or we go hell for leather, and if I'm still with them, that's what I'd be looking to do. But this is nice. This bunch that have dragged me around 52 kilometres, we'll just watch them over the line. Hey, the prop monster doing what he does best. I mean, let's be honest, he was always going to win a sprint. Done, my man, your Vive La France complete. Same for Mooney, Murray, Reuter, Bracer, Moon. Absolutely awesome. I'm still there. Did I see Stephen Moon come over the line? I'm not sure I did. Ah, sorry Stephen. Anyway, oh there's Stephen. I think he was waiting for me. Mr. Moon, done. Me, well and truly done. Vive La France, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I'm just going to pause while I send some messages. Bear with me. What can I say? 21 stages. About 800 kilometres. Something like that, I don't know. Just incredible. Sorry. I don't want to edit anything out, so I'll try and keep it together. This is so stupid. It's just been amazing. It's just on so many levels. I don't know how many times I've used that word, but it just has been just incredible, so memorable. Back to what I was saying, that definitely means it deserves one of the links from this chain to go on this band. It's something I might never forget. I can't think of a fitting way to end this. Yeah, I can. Yes, I can. Robert Grant, for the fleeting moments that our paths crossed, I hope you are resting knowing how inspirational you were and what a mark you left, not just on this event, but on the 400 or 500 people that participated. You were, yeah, just an example to us all of determination and spirit and sportsmanship. Yeah. I'm going to have to stop, guys. I'm really sorry. Thank you all. Thanks to everybody that I've already mentioned. I shouldn't forget the guys that were kind of impromptu domestiques for me. Percy being one of them. Jim Pocock, Brian Roden, Giles Blundridge, Ralph Aliash. I mean, Ralph, man, particularly in the last few stages. Just amazing. And there will be so many others that I've forgotten. There are so many things that the other guys did that I'll have forgotten. I couldn't list them all. It was. This video is going to be about 2 hours long. I am sorry. Voila. We're done. I'm going to go and drown myself in beer and wine. And you might not see me again for a month. Thank you, everyone. Good night.